Families facing addiction often ask, can an intervention really make a difference, or is it just a dramatic movie scene? The surprising truth is, effective interventions look nothing like what you see on TV. The surprise ambush is a recipe for failure. In fact, approaching it with aggression or shame is a guaranteed way to make things worse, pushing your loved one further away. There is a right way and a wrong way. Success depends entirely on careful planning and avoiding common mistakes. Here, we'll break down the proven framework, from strategic planning and communication to setting boundaries that actually work. So, if it's not a surprise party of blame, where do you begin? The first step is to assemble the right team. And the most critical team member isn't a family member. A common damaging mistake is trying to do this alone. You need a professional interventionist. This person is a strategist, a guide, and an objective voice. Attempting an intervention without one is like trying to perform surgery after watching a video. With your guide, the next step is homework. You must have a specific, suitable treatment plan ready to go before the intervention. This means researching facilities, verifying insurance, and securing a bed. The goal is to say, we have a place for you and you can go right now. Any delay between yes and admission is a window for doubt. Lack of a concrete, immediate plan is where many interventions fall apart. You have the team and the plan, but how do you actually talk to them without triggering denial, rage, and making them feel attacked? The answer is a powerful tool, the intervention letter. Each person on the team writes a letter to be read aloud, structured around love and concern. Why does this work? Letters prevent emotional, in-the-moment accusations and transform the tone from confrontation to a heartfelt plea. The content is specific. Not, you're an alcoholic, but when you were drinking Tuesday, you missed your daughter's recital and she was heartbroken. Even with perfect letters, prepare for their reaction. Denial and anger are symptoms of the disease. Your interventionist will help you rehearse your response. You've planned, you have your letters, but what if compassion isn't enough? This leads to the most challenging part of any intervention, consequences. So how do you get them to listen? You present a choice where the path to help is easier than continuing the addiction. This is done by changing your behavior. First, the group must identify all the ways it has unintentionally enabled the addiction, like providing money or making excuses for them. The consequence is the pre-agreed decision to stop all enabling. We will support your recovery, but if you refuse treatment, we will no longer pay your rent. This is often the most powerful part. It's the moment the addiction becomes more complicated to maintain than accepting help. It is a boundary drawn out of love. Think back to the enabling behaviors. The consequences are simply the unified promise from the entire group to stop doing them, removing the addiction's safety net. But even with a yes, the work isn't over. Treatment must address underlying issues like trauma or mental health that fuel the addiction. The confrontational Johnson model is famous, but not the only way. Modern approaches often invite the person to the planning, reducing defensiveness. The single biggest threat after a no? A family member breaking ranks. If one person goes back on the consequences, the entire structure collapses. And a yes without a plan for long-term aftercare is just a temporary fix. Recovery is a lifelong process, not a 30-day event. We've covered planning, communication, consequences, and complications. So let's tie it all together. What is the core principle that makes it work? It's not the movie's surprise. The power comes from a unified, loving front presenting a clear, unavoidable choice between recovery and losing addiction's support system. This is why professional help is so vital. They don't just guide the conversation, they hold the family accountable to their own boundaries, preventing backsliding. The letters you write are not just for one day. They are the foundation of the family's new promise to stop enabling and start supporting long-term recovery. A successful intervention is not one event. It's the start of a fundamental shift in the family system, away from chaos and towards structure and collective healing. So, do interventions work? Yes. When there is no confrontation, but a highly structured, professionally guided process that presents a clear choice. Avoid the biggest mistakes, trying it without a professional, failing to establish unified consequences, and using language of shame instead of love. Staging an intervention is one of the hardest things a family can do. But when done correctly, it is a profound act of love that can save a life. If you're considering an intervention, your first step isn't confronting your loved one. It's educating yourself and contacting a certified professional.